topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi there, and welcome to Learning to Dance in the Rain. I'm Shelby Wagner, your host, and I'm very excited to welcome Richard Leetch today to my show, and he's going to be talking about how line dancing can help us putting through life, what lessons learned from line dancing. And I hope that we will be able to answer some of your questions about that and maybe even interest you in starting to take dance lessons as well. I want to encourage you that if you do have questions to call into the radio station. The number is 561-623-9424. And I think it makes a much more interesting conversation if listeners do contact me. So, without much further ado, I would like to introduce Richard Leetch. He says he's been teaching line dancing for almost 20 years, and he was is semi-retired. Are you still doing remodeling jobs, or are you retired from that? Richard, you're on.
I still do a few. I don't get into it real heavy anymore, but I do a few.
Well, I know you're really busy with your dancing classes. Seems like, are you teaching classes every day?
I dance, well, I teach usually 2 to 3 days a week. Of course, I'm open to private parties and things like that also. And then I travel to dances. So my wife and I dance probably on average 6 times a week.
Well, you get plenty of exercise, don't you?
Yeah.
You and I go back a little ways here. When I first moved to Sturgis in 2017, and I joined your class at Sturgis Commission on Aging. I'd always wanted to learn some line dancing, but just never had time to do it or the opportunity. So I was really glad to see that the classes were there. Where else do you teach besides Sturgis?
I also teach in Three Rivers, and I teach in Coldwater. Currently, all my classes are in Commission on Aging areas, but occasionally I wander out from there when there's a place to do it. The biggest problem with holding dance classes is a location to do it. So many of the places like Legions and places like that all want $300 or $400 or $500 a day to rent a hall, which is considerably outpriced since dance lessons only run $5 a person.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I didn't have any idea how much they charge to rent. You'd think that would be a community service and they could lease it for $0. Or
You would think so, but they seem to think that they have to rebuild their building every time they rent it out.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with line dancing. What initially drew you into it, and why do you continue to do it?
Well, initially, for about 20 years, 22 years, I ran a dance in Sturgis, just an open dance for everyone. And we had line dancing, we had an instructor come in for about an hour before the dance to teach line dance. And he was an older gentleman, and he got to a point where his knees gave out on him. He was in his late 80s, and his knees gave out on him, and he couldn't do it anymore. And we had nobody else. So I said, well, I guess I would try it, just so we could keep it going. And in trying it and doing that, I discovered that I enjoyed teaching. I had been taking lessons myself for 3 or 4 years before that, but I enjoyed the teaching, so I just continued with that. And I've been doing it for over 20 years and still enjoy it, still love the dance, love to watch the people come in and learn and improve and get better and just have a good time. The line dance community is just one big family. Everybody's friendly and invites people in, and nobody complains about mistakes or things like that. That's just part of the thing. Besides, if the students don't make mistakes, I'm out of a job.
Well, I don't know about that, but I really enjoyed having you as a teacher of the line dancing. I think the way that you present it, and you will do like a phrase or what do you call it? One in music, it's a phrase. Is it a phrase in dance also, where you teach a certain pattern and then we learn that and then we add another pattern? Or
normally, most dances average about 32 steps. And we normally teach it 8 steps at a time. And then we'll go back over that and add 8 more on and go back over that and just continue until we've got the dance on. And then we'll practice it a couple of times. Then we'll put the actual music on to do the dance with. And that's kind of how it builds up. The only possible mistake that you can make in line dancing, to my opinion, is to stay in your chair. If you're up and trying, you're doing good. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes.
That's right. And do most people learn it fast, or does it take a little while?
No, there's the whole gambit. I've had people that have learned, a 64 count dance in one try. I've had people that have taken a 12 count dance and taken 4 or 5 lessons to learn it. So it's age has part to do with it. I've had people dancing with me from about 20 years old to the latest one that I had, who just moved away to be with her daughter, turns 102 this month.
Oh my!
Wow. She was line dancing 4 times a week.
That's wonderful. So, yeah, we went to see Hubie Abernathy, my band, play in Shipshewana. They were not in the Performing Arts Center, but in the other, the bigger, what do you call it, where they have the horse shows and all of those, but they have a concrete floor. And that night I was really amazed at the number of people from the older generation. Usually I feel like I'm one of the oldest ones that's dancing, but that night, oh my goodness, there were people from all over Lower Michigan and Northern Indiana there, and the dance floor got really, really busy when they were doing line dancing, and these groups would spread out, and they were all ages. And not only women, but men were out there. And not only, I was surprised, younger teenage guys were out there learning to line dance too. And like you said, I think the social aspect, you make friends. Almost all of my friends that I have made since moving here from Tennessee have been because of the line dancing. And now my friend and I are taking ballroom dancing with Jerry Wright at the Three Rivers um, and facility. And we've met several other new couples that are our friends. So I would advocate it. Just if you're lonely, get out there and do something about it. Go to a line dance class. Or you do have a dance once a month, don't you?
Yes, I put on a dance in Coldwater the second Saturday of every month from 6:30 to 10. I start the night by teaching for a half hour or so. We have the dance, and occasionally during the dance, I will get out and get one started or something if they're having trouble starting one. A lot of times, even when you know the dances, sometimes you don't remember just how to start it.
Oh.
One of the problems with line dancing is that there are so many. It's hard to remember sometimes. There are currently something over 2.5 million line dances.
Oh my!
Every song that comes out has anywhere from 1 to 40 dances written to that song.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, in a way, area sensitive. There are dances that are so popular, they're all over the nation. There are other ones that only catch on in one area or another. So you can't necessarily say, if I can do 40 dances, that you can go to Texas and still do 40 dances. It may not work that way, but there are always ones in each area that are popular that people really enjoy doing. So it's fun to go different places and learn new dances and just have a good time no matter where you go.
And also, like, if you learn them in Coldwater or Sturgis, and then you go maybe to Arizona for the wintertime, they may do that dance a little slightly different than you are, but it's okay to do it the way you know how to do it.
Oh, sure. I've had as many at our regular dance. I've had as many as 5 different dances going on at the same time to the same song. And also in the last about 5 years, I've taken on couples line dancing. So my wife and I teach those. So we have area on a dance floor. The center is for line dancing for singles. The outside edge around is for couples. So you can do both at the same time to the same song.
Do you teach those on your Saturday night dance in Coldwater there at the Masonic Temple?
Yeah, normally I'll teach a couple of the beginner line dances, usually one a little easier and one a little harder. And then I'll also teach one for couples. And a lot of times I'll teach, excuse me, I'll teach one that's a couple and the single that will go along with that same song so that everybody can get out and dance at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes for a better evening. Everybody has fun and nobody has to sit around a lot, without being able to do the dance.
Has line dances changed any since you started in 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Have it? How's that?
Well, mainly it's, for a while it was real strong, then it kind of died out, and now it's coming back again pretty strong. And because of that, there are a lot more teachers out there now. There's a lot more choreographers that actually write the dances for each song. And they've kind of got it where it's uniform now in the way they're written. So it's easier to pick up a step sheet and learn how to do the dance. In the past, step sheets were written out kind of like you'd write a letter, and it was real hard to understand. Now they're done in such a way that even though to most people, especially when they're first learning, step sheet is kind of like reading Greek. The instructors and things don't have near the trouble with learning them as they used to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's also large places like once a year we go down to Dance for All in Fort Wayne to learn new dances. And in that situation, for about 3 days, you have your choice of 6 different dances every hour for 7 hours a day for 3 days. And so there's no way to learn them all, but you get acquainted with them so that you can take the step sheet back home, and the ones that you enjoyed doing, you can learn them and be able to teach them.
When is that? And is it just for professional dancers or advanced?
Oh no, anyone can go to that. There's normally 2,000 to 3,000 people there, and
different levels.
Yes, there's all different levels. There's couples, there's singles, beginners, intermediate, and there are professional teachers that teach all over the world that come to that and teach.
And how do you find out information about that if you wanted to go to one?
I think you could just put in FortWayneDanceForAll.com. I think we'll bring up the information. I've never had to do that because I have friends that go to it and they just bring me the information every year. So I never really paid attention to how I did get it.
Uh-huh. And is it where is it? And is in Fort Wayne? Is it in a?
Yes, it's in Fort Wayne at the big convention center.
Oh, is that the Coliseum or is that something different?
It's the Radisson Hotel, I believe it is, and they have rooms, about 6 or 8 rooms where there's dancing going on all day for 3 days, and then usually at 7 o'clock they'll quit teaching, and you have about an hour for supper, and then you can go to a dance that night that will, depending on how much ambition you got and how well you can talk to the DJ, sometimes they'll run until 3 in the morning.
Oh my.
So, yes, you can certainly get your dancing in there.
Is that where you buy those fancy shoes and the jacket, the Becky?
That's one of the places. Yes, they have a shoe salesman there that, and that's another thing about line dancing that I like to caution people about. Most people will come in tennis shoes or boots or something like that, and line dancing is no longer strictly Western. So cowboy boots or things like that are not necessary, although some people still use them. The big thing is you don't want to have shoes that do not slide. If those shoes stick, because of the kind of turns we make and things like that, if you dance very long with shoes that'll stick to the floor, you're going to hurt your knees or hips. So using ones that slide a little bit, that saves your knees and your hips and makes it so much quicker and easier to make the turns.
Do they have to be leather soles on them then to make them easy slide, or?
No, not necessarily. There's
No.
several different kinds, and of course, the different floors that you dance on have something to do with it. Now, our shoes are regular shoes for dance, and they have suede soles. But a good hard leather sole is good. You just don't want things like rubber soles or shoes that are designed so you don't slip. You know, most
So,
of the shoe
so
manufacturers now put those spots in the middle, to keep you from slipping, and those are not good, not for dance.
yeah. So yeah, one shoe salesman was trying to sell me some that have a suede sole, and you mentioned that. Do they slide if they're
Yeah,
a
they're good
suede?
dance shoes. That's what mine and my wife both have
Oh,
suede
really?
soles on ours. Uh,
Well,
the
I
thing
have to.
is, you always want to have, a bag or something to carry them in with and change there, because you don't want to be walking outdoors, and you certainly don't want to get them wet or anything, because
Mm-hmm.
suede sole shoes are relatively expensive. I mean, they start about $150, $160 and go up.
Okay, well, I have to keep that in mind then. I have to go back to that store and take another look at those suede sole shoes.
Yeah.
Blue suede shoes. Is that why Elvis had those shoes?
All right. I've seen all colors.
There is an alternative, though, I learned in one of your classes. You want to talk about them a little bit, or do you not advocate them?
What
The
was that?
socks, the dance socks?
Oh, dance socks. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are, you can buy those at Walmart and places like that, to put over your, like if you wear tennis shoes or things. A lot of times it looks like the top stretchy part off of a sock, which a lot of them just cut the top off of a sock, and you slide it over the toe of your shoe so that the shoe will slide. Then you can wear any kind of shoes you want to. Sometimes they want to come off while you're dancing, but most of the time they stay on pretty good.
Well, I don't know, but I think it was pretty difficult to dance in tennis shoes.
It
Um,
is.
they're bulky and they just don't move as easily. My legs get tired with line dancing more so than any other dance that I've been learning. Some of them are really hard on you. In,
Well, some of it is a little faster, especially when you get up into more intermediate or advanced dancing. But
Mhm.
your legs develop the stamina, the muscles to do that. That's one nice thing about line dancing. It's one of the best cardiovascular exercises there is. You don't realize you're exercising, but when you exercise by doing dance, especially line dance and square dance is the two main ones that
Mhm.
move in such a ways that you're using your entire body motion rather than just your legs or things like that. Uh,
Mhm.
Ballroom dance develops leg muscles and stuff to a point, but it doesn't do much for the rest of your body. Where line dance, just the different ways that you're moving, usually is one of the better ones for exercise, and it builds up not only stamina but also lung power and strength and speed.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I think Jerry Wright would disagree with you as far as ballroom dancing is very, especially the waltz. Have you tried
Oh yes,
the
I
waltz?
waltz all the time, but I
That one?
consider that an extremely easy dance.
You do, huh?
Yes, I
Well,
do.
it does. Apparently, it does bother some people's legs, but I like to do it also.
Yeah.
But of course, my favorite is the swing. I love to do the swing, and all the other little fancy things you can add along with it. Let's see. So, yeah, you have rhythm that you use, the rhythmic muscle and so on, and a pattern. Uh, you have to have some coordination, don't you? Or
Well, you can develop that by doing it. Some people have problems with it. Some don't seem to hear the music or be able to feel the music. The ones that can, of course, can do it, can learn it faster and easier. But we, I have had people who have seemingly no rhythm at all that have come and learned to line dance, and it takes them quite a bit longer sometimes.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, if you want to do it, if you stick to it, you will learn it. You will be able to do some of the dances.
Well, one of the things I learned, especially with the line dancing, it helped me with my balance. Because when I first came back to Michigan and started taking lessons there at the COA with you, um, I would feel like I was falling quite a bit, and I would have to catch myself. And the more I danced, the more my balance seemed to be controlled better.
Oh
Um,
yeah, but that's
so
one
really
of the
good.
nice things about the dance is it does develop not only your speed but your balance, and then also there are many things that I teach. Some of the other ones don't teach because of the fact that I'm used to dealing with some of the older people, like through the COA and things like that, the Commission on Aging.
Mhm.
So I teach also what we call cheats. There are ways of doing things where we do spins or turns or things like that. There are ways of doing so that you stay with the rest of them without having to do that spin if you get dizzy, or if you feel like you're falling or something like that. There are ways of getting around that and still staying with the same number of steps and turning the same direction, so that from an audience perspective, you look like everybody else, even though you're not doing exactly the same steps.
Right, right. I have trouble stamping my foot on that one. A couple of the dances that are real, like the marching one. Uh, that it's an Irish, isn't it Irish jig or one of,
Probably stealing
and
the
another,
best. Yes, it's one that
and
came from um, Michael Flatley's uh, like Irish dancing. But there's so many different moves and things that there's always ways of getting around some of that. I have a fellow with me right now that's been with me for 4 to 5 years now. Still can't step and clap at the same time. If he steps, he can't clap, or if he claps, he can't step. So he has a problem with it. But we work around it. It's
yeah,
he still comes, he still enjoys it, and we still love having him because uh, our line dance group is just a good, happy family. Everybody enjoys it, and nobody gets upset if somebody makes a mistake or something like that.
yeah. I, 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 like I said, I've met a lot of friends through the dancing, and I really appreciate you for teaching uh, everybody, the classes that you have, and uh, what do you believe are the mental, other mental? One of the mental I'm thinking about is memory. I have trouble remembering the title of the dance for one thing. if I hear the music, I go, oh yeah, that's a line dance. And then I have to think, okay, where do we start? And usually I have to see somebody else start it before I can remember. But so with the mental there, you have memory. It helps you with counting, keeping the rhythm and keeping the beat going.
Yes, some people feel it, some people count, some people just seem to be able to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can sit in a chair. My wife is fairly good at that. She can sit in a chair and watch a dance and then get up and do it.
Really? Oh boy, what a
Yeah,
talent that!
I
Yeah.
can't do that. I have to. I can get up and dance with people, but I could never teach it because I don't know what the steps are. I have to take the physical paper and read the step sheet, learn the steps so I know exactly what the steps are. And then I can teach the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So people learn in different ways, and you just, as far as remembering the name of the dance, uh, first thing my wife says when dance come on, what's the first two steps? Because she cannot remember the steps or the name of the dance.
Good either. Well,
Yeah.
have a lot in common with Becky. I really do.
Normally, the name of the dance is the last thing people learn.
Oh,
That's why one of the things that I do that some of the other ones don't do is I always teach the dance, if I can, to the correct song. All dances are written to a particular song, and I
mm-hmm.
try to teach it to the song it was written to, and I stay with that song, even though most line dancing can be done to several different songs because they're like an 8 count beat or something like that, or a 6 count, where you can do them to a multiple song. I stick with the original song because when a person learns that, they can't go out and necessarily do it to a different song. They don't recognize that, that they're doing it to a different song, when they're sitting there in the chair because the music doesn't hit them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they learn it to a particular song, when that song comes on, they can get up and do it without having to wait and see what it is and things like that. So, but once you get to the point where you can do it on your own without having to have anybody else on the floor, then you can go out and you can dance it to multiple songs, and which makes it even more fun. But that's a ways down the road. You don't learn that kind of stuff right away. It takes a while to learn a song or a dance that well.
Do you think there's some emotional benefits to line dancing?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't go line dancing with the other people around and be down. It'll pick you up. Uh, it's always, like I say, a happy family
Mm-hmm.
group, and it's near impossible to walk in there feeling down or feeling sorry for yourself or something like that, and stay that way. It just lifts you up.
Right. I can be talking to somebody at the dance, and then all of a sudden I will hear something. Oh, that's a line dance. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's the way I am. I have trouble standing around talking to people because I got to be up dancing too much.
What about the cultural aspect of line dancing? Is it does it pertain to any particular culture group or?
Well, no, because it kind of covers the whole gambit because there's so many different styles. Originally, line dancing was strictly country western, but it's evolved now to nearly everything. I even have one dance that goes to a song that comes from an opera. So
Oh,
it covers the whole gambit. And different people like different things, different styles of music and things like that. And
mhm.
about the only thing that I have not seen any line dances to is rap. But I don't really consider that music to begin with. So
I don't consider it music either, so I'm ready to agree with you on there.
it
Is this
doesn't
a
matter,
worldwide?
fast or slow, it's
Right.
all good.
So do they do this in other countries too? The
Oh yes,
line,
definitely.
yeah,
Yes,
around.
like when I referred to the Fort Wayne dance down there where I go take lessons and things once a year. Uh, we have there's one of the fellas that come in there has got the big mohawk hairdo. He's an Indian and he teaches in that kind of a genre. We have there's one that we've had two or three that have came in over the years from China or Japan that couldn't even speak English. They
Really?
could they could teach the dance in English, but they
Uh-huh.
couldn't speak English. You couldn't talk to them. So it was kind of interesting that way. But we
So
have,
they,
they're almost every country has line dancing.
so do you can you envision the future? Do you think there'll be any changes in line dancing in the future? Or you mentioned, I think that it was coming back into popularity. Didn't you? More and more people are doing it again. Or,
Yeah, I don't really think that it'll change a lot. It will get to a point where it'll start dying out again. They're always well, just like country and western or rock music, anything like that. It gets real popular and then it kind of fades out and then it gets real popular again. And I think line dance will do the same thing, uh, just like square dance and the other dances. I know square dance was getting fairly popular again before COVID, and since COVID, you can't even find it in our area anymore.
mhm. Okay. Misty has asked a question. What if a person doesn't have any rhythm?
Well, I say try it. You can you can learn rhythm. You may never have the rhythm, but you can learn to dance with other people at the same level and stuff simply by watching the people around you. One of the things I always tell new people when they first come, get in the middle. Everybody wants to get in the back because they're afraid somebody's going to look at them or something. Nobody cares what you look like. Nobody cares that you're making mistakes. If you get in the middle, because the dances face all four walls as they go, uh, you can have somebody around you normally that is doing it, and you can follow them. You don't have to necessarily have problems with that.
Misty says she has good rhythm, but she finds it hard to dance with people who don't have it.
Well, if you have it, and when you're doing the dances and things, you don't want to be watching people around you because if you have the dance, if you know the dance, you don't need to watch somebody else to be able to do the steps. You should be able to do it on your own. And that, of course, does make it harder to look around when you're. I have trouble with that too when I'm
Mhm.
teaching. I'll be watching people to see if they're doing it right or if they need help or something, and they'll do something wrong, and all of a sudden I'm doing what they're doing, rather than uh, the right thing. So it's kind of a contagious thing, I know, but we all get over it. Nobody
It's
gets
fun
through
and
it without a mistake.
have a good time with it. You're going to have a good time with it, even if you're not perfect all the
Oh,
time.
oh, certainly, certainly.
Right. And one thing I wanted to say in there was that if you're in the back row and you have a 4-wall dance and you get to that back wall and now you're the front row, I have
Right.
trouble reading the rest of the thing because I
Yeah,
can't. I
that's
can't.
precisely why you want to be in the middle.
That's very good advice. Very, but
I
I
just
think
taught one last week called Four on the Floor, which has everybody messed up. It's going to take me several weeks to get this one down, where the people are able to do it good, because it's during each sequence of the dance, you actually face 5 different walls. One wall you face a second time as you end it, and the turning and stuff, it really messes people up, messes with their mind. But it's a fun dance once you learn it. But some of them are like that. They're just more difficult. But it's just all fun.
that's right. It was kind of like when I started internet dating. After I moved to Michigan, my husband had died in Tennessee, and so I moved back, and I said, Shelby, you're just going to go out to have fun and get to know somebody new and relax and enjoy it. And if it goes somewhere, fine. If it doesn't, this is the one time, so be it. The
Right.
idea is try to live a fulfilling life and enjoy it. It's too
Right.
short. It's too short to be unhappy and having
Well,
things
there's
bother.
2 things that people do that are not right when it comes to dance. Some of them go and think they can learn it in one lesson. It doesn't happen. Uh, they just give up. Persistence is the key. The other thing that they do is they go out dancing specifically to find someone. That doesn't happen either. You may find someone during the course of it. I've had some who actually became couples and have gotten married through dance. But if you go there looking for that, you're going to be disappointed, because it happens, but it's not the norm.
Right. And I think it all starts up here in the way you think about it.
Right.
I'm going out to have fun. I'm going out to enjoy hanging with my friends, getting to know people. If something else happens, well, fine. But if it doesn't, that's fine too. We're going to
Right.
have a good time tonight.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to bring up? We're almost out of time.
No, nothing that I can think of right off the top of my head, other than I would certainly like to invite people to come to the classes. They're actually, they are by donation mainly, but they prefer, a lot of people will put in $5 for a lesson and stuff. The only one who is actually required to put anything in is the cold water dance, because I have to rent the hall there, and so that does have a $4 minimum donation. But other than that, the Sturgis and Cold and Three Rivers are actually free. Donation is just that, a donation, if you wish.
Mm-hmm. I would like to ask the question, how would you respond to someone that says, oh, I have 2 left feet?
First thing I tell them is I have dances for that.
We do, don't we? There are some of them. Go ahead.
I have had people dance in all forms. I've had people, like I say, I had this lady that was 200 years or 102 years old. I've had older ones who have danced on canes and walkers. I don't do it here or know where it's done, but I know somewhere in Ohio they have a class where they can line dance in wheelchairs. So, the only excuse really for not line dancing is I don't want to, or I'm just too bashful to go out in public. To my way of thinking, anyone can go out and dance and have a good time. It doesn't matter what level you're at or how good you are. Just go out and enjoy the company and have a good time.
Right. I think that's very good advice. And I would like to encourage guys. A lot of the guys don't want to dance at the dances that we go to, or maybe they think they're not good enough. And finally they'll dance with me and I'll say, hey, you're good enough for me. I think you're great. Just get out and do it and have a good time. So
right. That's one of the hardest things there is to get men to dance for some reason.
Right. And I should say that
amazed me. But.
Women, is because women do like to dance, and that's where they like to be.
Right. Yeah. If you want to be popular, learn to dance.
I think that's good advice, and I want to thank you for coming and joining me in this conversation today. I've enjoyed getting to know you better, and I want to thank everybody out in the internet land and the listening land for joining us today on Learning to Dance in the Rain. If you want to recommend somebody listen to this podcast, it's on my YouTube channel at Shelby Wagner. It's also on my website, learningtodanceintherain.com. And next week, I would like you to come back and meet Margaret. Margaret is a 12-year-old enterprising youngster, and she is a creator on YouTube. I thought that was kind of like a podcast, but actually she's very good entertainer. And she has 64,000 subscribers on her YouTube creative channel. So come next week and hear about Margaret. And maybe I know we can learn a whole lot from her. In the meantime, I hope you'll pick up my book at Amazon.com, Learning to Dance in the Rain, 3rd edition, or Scams, and learn how to not become a victim. Thank you. I'll see you next week. And thanks again, Richard. I really enjoyed having you here today. Bye now.
Goodbye.